Hey guys, Henry Leon here. You know what? After going through a horrible horror game, I just want to do something more chillax. I just want to talk about horror games that I like to play this holiday season. It's going to be a top 10. It wasn't easy, but these are my top 10 picks for this year's Halloween. So grab a shovel and let's get digging. Now these first 7 that I'm going to go through first aren't in any kind of order, but they're really awesome. And I'm going to start off with Halloween Forever. This is an awesome 8-bit platformer. In the same vein as Super Mario Bros, but with a spooky coat of paint. You get to place this jack-o'-lantern dude, a skeleton, a witch, and a killer with a chainsaw, going through levels, platforming, and fighting bosses. It's really cool in a great spooky atmosphere. And each of the characters have this awesome little tropes to them, they're moves or they're projectiles that they throw at the enemies. Like the jack-o'-lantern can throw candy corn, the skeleton, his bones, and the witch cats. And of course the chainsaw dude, you got a chainsaw, you can throw the chainsaw. It's a lot of fun. It's easy to pick up and play, and it's pretty cheap to download. On the PS4, I believe it's $5, and on the PS Vita, if it's still available on that console, rest in peace. And I believe maybe Steam, but go ahead and check. But again, easy to pick up and play and very fun and perfect for this holiday season. My next one is Corpse Party on the 3DS. Now this game was made with, I guess, an RPG maker, and it was back in 1990 or the early 2000s when it was first released, and since then it's been remade. Now the one that I have here is the uncensored, one of the remakes, I guess, of that game, and I love the fact that it's uncensored. I cannot stand censorship. And when I heard that this was uncut, I had to get it. And I'm glad I did. This is an interesting experience. You go through this abandoned school that you're stuck in this weird parallel universe. And there's ghosts that have been roaming around with grudges. And you have to kind of solve puzzles to get through it. And you gotta stick with your friends. And any choice that you make kind of alters the outcome of the ending or scenarios. It's really cool. Very dark though, extremely dark. But it's an interesting little trip. Now, they did make an anime out of it, which I did watch, and also a live action movie, which we also did watch. And the anime was pretty cool. I guess the ending of the anime, they picked one of the bad endings from the game. The movie though, it's a different story. It was just okay, but it did bother me after playing the game and knowing the things that they changed. But again, fun game. Pick it up if you can find it. And again, I love the abandoned school atmosphere in this, so it's just great. Now this next one is also on my top 10 favorite games of all time, and that is Little Red Riding Hood Zombie Barbecue. I love this game. Talk about your weird ideas coming into a lightning in a bottle, in my opinion. Now, you play as, of course, Little Red Riding Hood, and you got these arsenal of weapons, and you're just going through the fairy tale world, just blasting through zombies and all these fairy tale creatures that got turned into zombies. It's a lot of fun. The sense of humor is tongue-in-cheek, and it's just so cool, going through these levels, killing your own grandmother who's turned into a zombie, but they kind of make references to The Exorcist and the Three Little Pigs, and it's almost like a shmup as well. It's like a bullet hell kind of crazy arcade style game on the DS, so it utilizes both screens. So on the bottom you have your character, you get to move her around from left to right, and you just blast away through the levels, and the levels stretch up to the top screen. It's an awesome game. If you can find any way to play this, please do. I will be reviewing this again. I made an old review, but it's a little cringy nowadays. Kind of like this, I guess. But yes, Little Red Riding Hood Zombie Barbecue is definitely on my top 10 for this year's Halloween list. Play this any way you can. Now, speaking of arcade style games, I just played this not that long ago, and I'm already in love with it. It mixes beat 'em ups with horror, two of my favorite genre of video games into one, and that is Streets of Red. I love this game. This is so cool. They make references to so many horror movies in this. I mean, when you fight a character who, of course, resembles Jason, they call him Mama's Boy. You got little character sprites that you fight that look like Chucky's. There's a lot of references of other movies just poured onto this, and other video games poured onto this, like references, and it's just insane. The music is so upbeat and creepy, and it's just an awesome beat 'em up. So anyway you can play this, please do. It's also available on the PS4, and of course you can download it on the Switch. It's easy to get this. Please, any way you can, play this. It's an awesome beat 'em up for you horror fans out there. Now this next one, I'm gonna count them as one because it is in the same series, but again, it's like if you play one or the other, it doesn't really matter, doesn't really affect to the story. And that is the Spirit Hunter series, Deathmark and NG. Wow, you want to talk about creepy atmosphere? These two have it. It's an awesome point-and-click adventure, like visual novel, where there's other visual novels that just drag on with a lot of the conversations. This like balances it out really well with the point-and-click adventure, with the battle mechanics when you fight these horrific, grisly like ghosts, you know, with the story of the visual novel style gameplay. And everything about it, from the sound design to the score to the characters, it just oozes a lot of cool style. And for anybody who is a big fan of horror, please pick these up. They're also available on Steam and the PS4. But Deathmark, I would say, really starts off with the action right away, where NG kind of like you have to go through more reading than the first one, but then when it kicks off, it really kicks off. So again, any way you can play these, please do. They're awesome. All right, now this one I just recently reviewed, and that is the Blair Witch on the Switch. Blair Switch? Yikes. Now this game I really do like. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of this game, but I really love the atmosphere, especially when you're stuck in the woods and it gets dark and then you start seeing dark entities out there, and all you have is your flashlight and your dog to help you lead through clues and try to find a missing boy. And of course it ends with the notorious abandoned house from the movie. If you're a big fan of the movies, you're gonna enjoy this a lot. I cannot praise this game enough. I did like it a lot. I know a lot of people didn't, but again, if you do have a PS4 or Steam or Xbox One, I would play those versions first. But again, if you only have a Switch, then again, it's not that bad on the Switch. It's good. It just doesn't look as pretty, but it's playable and it does the job well enough, you know? So again, Blair Witch, I liked it. Check out my review about it. Now you want to talk about atmosphere? Kuon just oozes and is thick with dark atmosphere. Thick with 3 C's, guys. Thick with 3 C's. Now this was made by From Software, the same people who brought you Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, and I'm telling you right now, this game truly freaked me out. It really does beautiful, beautiful work with the sound design and the scoring. The way you hear like the demons, like the Japanese grudge demons in the background just groaning and making weird noises, you know, thinking that it's coming closer and closer to you. The fact that you have only a lantern to light your way through this like old Japanese mansion, and if you run, it gets dimmer and dimmer. And then all the grotesque like evil ghosts that you fight and the dark like storyline of this. It's just an awesome game. Try to download this or emulate this. I know it's kind of hard to get your hands on this, or just look it up. I mean, it's an awesome game, and I hope they're able to re-release it on the PS Network or something. But it's my pick for this holiday season, and I love this game. It's awesome. All right, we're down to the last 3. Now, this series is notorious for being one of the scariest game series out there, and that is Fatal Frame. A lot of people love the second one, but I love the third one. I love the fact that it doesn't only take place like in a haunted mansion, but those horrific dreams that you have at the location creeps into your daily normal life in your home. And I love how it just messes with you. Like the locations you thought you feel comfortable in just kind of distorts, almost like how Silent Hill The Room did it. So I like concepts like that. I love when games do that, where it just breaks your comfort zone. Actually, the NG and Deathmark games, they do the same thing. You're like safe nowhere, not even through the menu screens. And this one definitely does that very well. And I just love the style. I love the story. It's more cinematic in my opinion. But again, everybody loves the second one, and don't get me wrong, the second one's great. All of these are great in the PlayStation 2 library, but I love the third one. It's awesome. Check it out. It's a lot of fun, and it will scare the shit out of you. All right, it was really hard to pick which one's number one from these two, because these two are also my top 10 favorite games of all time. And one of them is actually my number one favorite game of all time, but it is the number two here, and that is Haunting Ground. Again, I can't stress enough how much I love this game from my last video, how much I adore it, how I think it mastered hide and chase horror video games, and how it perfected it, in my opinion. It oozes that spooky like castle vibe, and you're just stuck there trying to escape from these psychotic killers, and the music just sets the tone right, and the gloominess of it as well, and the dread. It's just a perfect game in my opinion. It is my number two for this list because the other one really is a love letter to horror movies out there, and that is Illblade. Come on now, Illblade is freaking insane for those who have played it, and for those who haven't, look it up. It is bonkers. Like, this is a definitely love letter to horror movies out there. It just oozes and oozes like inspiration from other horror films, and it is just insane with the tongue-in-cheek dark humor and the insane amounts of blood that just gushes out every time you hit something, or when you get hit, or when it's just oozing everywhere from the walls. Illblade is a perfect Halloween game for this year's Halloween choice. And if you can, try and play this any way you can. It's an awesome game and truly one of the most underrated games on the Dreamcast and underrated horror games of all time. I would hope they would try to release this again somehow, but sadly the creator of it did pass away. But this is my number one choice for this year, and I urge you to try and play this or look it up. It's insane. Even the trailer itself for this game says it all.
You'll vomit with excitement. You'll puke with pleasure. You'll shit with fear. Splattered brains. Infected flesh. Get excited. Get disgusted. Get pissed off.
So that does it for my top 10 picks for this year's Halloween season. Again, there's other great games out there, and it was really hard to choose. Again, there's always next year when I make another list. But again, there's a lot of other horror games out there, and if you played them, please leave a comment down below. I would love to know what you guys are playing. I hope you guys have an awesome, spooky Halloween this year, and with all this craziness that's going on. I do have 2 more videos coming out before then. Stay tuned for those, and yeah, stay spooky.